Hi, Chris.
Hi, how are
I'm
you?
Maryke.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
How
How's it
are you?
going?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
thanks.
woke up. Pardon?
Thanks for willing to do this.
Yeah, you're welcome. No
Or,
problem. Thanks for asking me.
yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I woke up earlier than usual today, which is interesting.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Yeah,
usually like a more of a sleeper inner person
yeah.
rather than a like early bird gets the worm person.
Well, as I'm sure you probably know, it was April of last year that I got to be Kiara's first ever on camera interview host.
It was April of last year.
Yeah,
Time has no meaning anymore.
I know.
It's really like, wow. And I didn't know that. I actually didn't know it was her first. I didn't. Interesting. Cool.
Mhm. I could just jump around then with roles in your career.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you take it away. You do what you have planned and I'll be happy to chat about whatever topics you have.
Okay. Also, I know what is it accurate that what inspired you to pursue acting was when you saw ballet performances on TV when you were a little kid.
Yeah, that's great that you know that. Yeah, so yeah, apparently I don't remember this. I was like about, I mean, maybe some people remember when they're 4, but I remember some things, but I don't remember this particular incident. Apparently, yeah, I saw some ballet performance on TV and I said to my mom, that's what I want to do. And she was kind of like, okay. And then I continued to talk about it. I continued to talk about ballet and being on the stage in some way. And so my mom called like a very reputable professional ballet school here in Canada and asked like, my daughter wants to take ballet and where do you think? And so they told her where they thought I should potentially go to study from my area. And that's just kind of how it all started. So I started ballet when I was 5, um, and continued to say, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to be on the stage. I'm going to be on the stage. I'm going to, do whatever this performance aspect is from then on. It's weird. That's a bit weird. Hey, like to think that a like 4 to 5 year old kind of has these career aspirations. Strange. But yeah, that was the thing that kind of, and then the next thing that kind of made me shift a little bit from like ballet, even though I continued taking ballet until I was in my early 20s, um, and still take it for exercise now, but was that then I became aware of Annie, like the
Oh,
musical Annie. I was like, oh, you can do all these things together. So that was kind of, then that sort of was the next kind of like phase of my career planning at 8. So yeah, that's great that's interesting that you knew that. Yes. So yes, that is how that started.
well, then I know that when you were a teenager that you had gotten in some pretty big fight during a family reunion because your dad wanted you to pursue physics and you just said no.
Yeah. So it was it was kind of the normal like vibe where my dad was highly educated and he just thought that you should go to university and yada yada yada. And I was like, I always was saying to him, I'm not going to university. You don't need to go to university to be an actor. You don't need to go to university to whatever, be a performer of any kind. And although education is good and going to theater school, right, professional theater school can really help people
Right.
learn their craft and all that kind of stuff. But and so this was this constant refrain. My mother was not anti me being a performer. She just kind of was like, okay. She didn't she didn't object. She thought it was interesting. She just allowed me to kind of choose what I wanted to do. But my dad was like, no way, no way, no way. And so then this one day we were at Christmas, I think it was either Christmas or Thanksgiving dinner. And it was at my Auntie Mavis's house, my Auntie Mavis and my Uncle Ken. I have 3 cousins, my brother, and he was on and on about how I should take physics, take physics, take physics. And finally, I just slammed my hand down on the table and was like, Dad, it's my life. And there was like silence at the dinner table. And then my Auntie Mavis started clapping.
Yeah.
It was a very kind of, it's like a big moment in my life.
Yeah.
Especially to get approval from somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that probably had more to do with their relationship than it did with mine and my father's.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that's exactly what happened. I did take physics. Hilariously, I took grade 11 physics, and it was the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
I passed it, but wow, it was not fun.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Well, then was your first on-camera acting role in the Secret Identity series?
Yeah, I think that was my first on-camera role. I might have done. Yeah, I think it was. I was gonna say, I think I used to do a lot of on-camera commercials, and I might have done a couple of commercials before that, but I don't think so. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. I had to swim. So like the scene opened up with me swimming in a pool and then getting out of the pool, and then the dialogue starts. I had the first line in the scene, which seemed to me to be crazy. Like, well, I'm trying to get out of a pool and then deliver the first line. So I actually asked if someone else could take my line. Like I said to the director, I was like, could someone else do this line? Like, it just seems crazy. What was I thinking? First of all, other actors, if, you know, like if you said to them, like, would you give away a line? They'd be like, I'm giving away a line. But I don't. So first, you know, that was the first weird thing, is that here's an actor giving away a line. And then just that I had the like gumption or something to like be like, this doesn't work. Anyway, so yes, I remember that. It was fun. I enjoyed that day. And yeah, I've actually seen it. Since. It's on YouTube somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, somebody a long time ago sent me a link to it saying, look, this is, oh, I know. I used to volunteer at this youth drop-in center for years and years and years. And the youth worker, it came up in conversation one day, I think the show specifically. And I think I said like, oh, hilariously, I was on that show. And he was like, what? And found it on YouTube. So it's there. Like I've watched it.
Okay. That's cool.
Crazy. My little tiny, like little self in this little bathing suit, like with a towel.
Well, and then there was a year after that. I'm not sure if the credit is right, but it's a really stacked cast movie with Married to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't even know if that was my next credit, but that is a correct credit.
Okay.
You're correct in saying that, like, because IMDb is notorious for like,
yeah,
there's a credit on there that continues to like be on there. It's something like Egyptian, like King Tut or something like that. Anyways, whatever. So yeah, that was like a hugely stacked cast. It was kind of crazy. It was fun. We had a whole bunch of rehearsals for it, and then I think we shot for a couple of days, maybe 2 days or something, 2 or 3 days.
Was that also how you got into ACTRA, or is there a special story with that too?
I mean, that was probably, you know, one of the earlier credits, because you have to amass a certain amount of credits in a certain amount of time to join ACTRA. So that I would assume that would probably be one of the credits that was used to join ACTRA, I think. Okay. Yeah.
Was there ever any initial aspiration for you to try and move to LA?
No, although I have worked in LA. I did a play in LA many years ago. Yeah, I'm not sure why I never thought to move to LA. The funny thing is too, I love Los Angeles. Where do you live?
I'm outside of Minneapolis.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, I don't know why I never kind of thought to. I suppose maybe with Los Angeles is I was never really that interested in doing on camera.
Okay.
Not particularly. And I guess it just never occurred to me. Plus it's hard. When I worked in the US, I was on an O1 visa. But that was kind of like, it's really difficult to kind of move and not have papers and try and get some work. I guess it just never was something that I aspired to.
Mm-hmm. Well, in terms of voiceover, your first character part then was in Blaster's Universe.
Yeah, I think I might have done some guest roles on stuff before that, but yeah, that was like the big thing. That was like the first series that I booked. Yeah, like series lead kind of thing or series regular.
And being in Toronto, when you were in Toronto, I would take it that do you know people like Katie Griffin and Susan Roman and Linda Ballantyne? Because I've interviewed all of them too.
Oh, cool. I have worked with slash met them. Katie, I knew a little bit because we were the same age, or we are the same age.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, I knew of them, or I worked with them, or I was in session with them. So yeah, I'm familiar. All those names. You know, it's interesting. You say Toronto like a Torontonian.
Oh,
Because a
really?
lot of yeah, because a lot of people say Toronto, which is
Oh,
fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But Torontonians say Toronto.
okay. Well, that's good to
So
know.
that's how you said it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, would your first anime be Mega Man?
Mm-mm. No, I think my first anime was something I did in Toronto.
Tokyo Underground?
No,
Okay. Might have been Hikaru no Go.
no, those were all in Vancouver.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the one I did in Toronto was, but it was definitely a little anime.
Okay.
Anyways, but Mega Man, I think, was the first anime that I did in Vancouver
Okay.
when I moved here. I think probably about 17 years ago. I've been here now, so yeah.
Well, I know you got to do ADR on the movie Strike.
Yeah, that I don't remember at all.
Oh,
Although I do remember we used the wipe. So like when you do ADR, there's different like techniques that
right.
like there's beep, beep, beep is the kind of the thing that, you know, like, and you speak on the fourth imaginary beep is when your lines start. But there's also a couple of other ones. There's a rhythmo band where the like lines go across the top.
Yep.
I've worked on that. And that's the way I first worked in Toronto with the rhythmo band. And then on the TV show, it was the wipe. So like these bars come across the screen like, and you speak when the bar starts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and more of a vocally technical question. What do you think the cases where you've had to alter your voice the most significantly for a role?
This character named Weevil on Powerpuff Girls Z.
Oh, yeah.
That character was brutal in terms of my voice. Like I do some teaching and I kind of bring that up to students. Like, be sure that if you are creating a voice for something that you can sustain it for a 4-hour recording session. And I did not learn my own lesson. It was brutal. It hurt. And the director is like such a great person. And he was just like, let's do these lines once if we can. And we would always do them at the end of sessions so that I played bubbles. And
Yep.
so that I could keep that, like, you know, that high pitch kind of clean sound and just get all those done before diving into Weevil and, like, you know, completely ratcheting my voice. So yeah, that was a hard one. That was the one that's most different from mine for sure.
And I have also found that talking to a lot of voice actresses that also do a multitude of boy voices. Do you have a particular process for doing that?
That's an interesting question too, because it took me a really long time to figure out how to do boys' voices. Like, I have a very girly kind of, you know, female identified, like higher kind of voice, right? And I didn't play boys for a really long time, and I still, like, you know, there are age ranges that I cannot go above. Like, I can't play a teen or preteen boy. It's got to be little ones. I kind of have a couple of go-to kind of sounds. And the process for that is just placing things a little bit more kind of in my lower, you know, my throat-ish area, which you have to be careful of. And dropping the pitch. And more than anything, when I create a character, I dive personality first. And so I kind of make adjustments once I've understood the personality, but I find that the personalities that allow me to kind of fall into a more of a boyish sound are like super kind of nerdy, slightly adenoidal boys, or very kind of like hyper, kind of rough and tumble hyper.
Mm-hmm. Did you study from people? Because I know there's in the Vancouver VO scene, especially, there's some really amazing people that can do boys that you wouldn't even like Kathleen Barr and Kathy Westluck. And
yeah, there's a bunch of people. There's no like, to me, I don't hold a candle to the stuff they can do boy voice wise. There's no way. There's no way. You know, I give it my best shot, you know, and occasionally, you know, you get cast and stuff, but yeah, there are the masters, and then there's a couple of, you know, somebody like me who just pops up every now and again, is like, oh, she got a boy voice, interesting.
Well, then Kiara, I remember Kiara telling me that you guys met on a show that you and both you and Shannon Chan Kent did, but she couldn't remember the name of it.
Marioku Yami.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we did. So, I mean, I knew who Kiara was, but yeah, we'd never worked with each other before. And did she tell you how we like started to realize we'd be friends? Did she tell you that story?
Yeah, the falling down story with her mom, like the funny.
Yes, we were laughing so hard. Actually, Shannon and I laughed a lot during that series together about just random stuff that would happen in session or whatever. We laughed a lot during that, and this time with Kiara telling me this story, like, yeah, we were crying, we were in hysterics. And then there was this song that she started singing, just randomly, like between takes, she started singing the song, and I like chimed in with the harmony, and we were both like, oh, you know that. So,
yeah.
And it was actually Sam Vincent who initially introduced us.
Oh.
And he actually said, like, we were going, do you know who Matt Hill is? Have you ever interviewed Matt Hill?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So Matt had this like whole like running around the like North America thing.
Yep.
And so when he came back to Vancouver, we went to his like welcome home thing, and we were walking over together because I think Sam and I had a session together, or him and Kiara had a session together, and I was meeting them. And he introduced us, and he goes like this. He's like, actually, I think you guys would probably like each other.
Yep.
So they're famous last words, Sam.
Yeah. Were you ever close with Saffron Henderson?
I know Safi, yeah, but you know, like there's so many people that we work with on a day-to-day basis. I love Saffron, but we've never hung out, which is kind of a shame.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would say we're good acquaintances and super, you know, friendly and enjoy working together. But yeah, we've never hung out much out of session, unless it's like a big group, like party or a function kind of thing.
And I did ask this to, most recently, I asked this to Jocelyn Lewin, but I've also asked this to Michael Adam Thwaite and people like that. Do you have any highlighted memory of Kirby Morrow, like as a tribute thing?
I mean, just for me, like Kirby, his like sweetness and like always like genuine, cheerful, bouncy. I don't know. There was this kind of joyful way that he was always engaging.
Mm-hmm.
Just always like cheerful and just such a lovely person. I don't have anything specific. It's just this like kind of overarching dynamic that he had in the world of yeah, this positive, happy, just lovely kind of energy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'd be in a room together, recording studio together, and he was just enjoying the work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, going back to anime, do you remember your role on Inuyasha very much? Tsukiyomi?
No.
Okay.
I have no clue. It's the fact that you remember the name. Yeah, I don't remember that at all. I know I did it. I do know I did it. Like, it's one of those things. Sometimes people ask me about a credit. I'm like, I'm not sure what you're talking about. But yeah, that one I remember, like the credit itself. But.
Well, was Gundam Seed before Black Lagoon?
Yes. Yep.
How could you relate to Lunamaria at all?
Not really necessarily relate to her. No, I liked her. But I didn't find necessarily anything in common with her, like me as a person necessarily. But I enjoyed playing the character.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to be. I mean, I suppose now thinking about it, you know, she was the one girl, right? Like she was often the one girl.
Yeah.
in amongst a bunch of guys. And I can sometimes, like, I play fantasy baseball and I'm the only girl in my league, that kind of stuff. So I'm a bit tomboyish.
Mhm.
So I suppose, maybe that's something I can identify. It's a great question.
Do you think that, and do you also think that you have a personal preference for working on more dramatic projects opposed to comedy?
As opposed to comedy. Interesting. I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
I like doing comedy. It's obviously fun, and everybody like ruins each other's takes as we're all laughing so much at each other. But no, I like dramatic roles. I like a little oomph. My preference for like my own viewing, like when I watch stuff, like my favorite TV show of all time is Luther, which is very dark, and that's my preference, and that's my preference as an actor. Yeah, lots of trauma, lots of carrying on, lots of like, less than ideal circumstances, some darkness. Yeah, little grit. That's a good word. Little grit.
Well, you
A
have a
little grit.
yeah. Well, you have a pretty cool sadist character in a Gintama.
Oh, I really liked that character. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that because that was pretty extreme. Like, because when we do dubbing work, we don't preview,
Right.
right? You just dive into it. You have no idea what's going on. The scripts have no stage direction, so you have no clue what's happening. I would be like saying, like looking at the script and up on the TV and like looking back and forth from my lines to the picture and being like, what the like, yeah, I loved that. That was a crazy cool character and show in general. Just like, what is going on here?
Mhm. Well, because it goes between, just normal comedy and then it's super gory and like you just wouldn't expect it. Yeah.
Yeah, like over the top weird stuff. Like my puppet did bizarre things, like really bizarre things.
Yeah. So then for people who don't know, was Black Lagoon just a pretty general audition or were you autocast?
It was a general audition. I was not autocast. In fact, I wasn't scheduled to read for the character.
Oh, wow.
And director James Corwell said, why are you not on the list to read for Revy? I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the show is, right? So he's like, I think we need to read this character. I was like, okay. So he gave me the script, like the sides, and I just kind of looked them over and it's okay, let's do it. Let's see. And so we went through them like then and there on the mic at Ocean in the studio. And then, I don't, not every actor is necessarily like this, but it's self-preservation for me that I've managed this skill, or it's just kind of part of my personality. Once I leave an audition, 99% of the time I forget about it. I don't hold on to things. And then I got, Ralph, my agent, was messaged to say, or emailed or called or whatever, to say that you booked this and this is your first session or whatever. And I went in and James felt so kind of victorious and happy that he'd said, you got to read for this part. And it, as I've said it in different interviews and at conventions and stuff, it's my favorite thing of my entire career.
Yep.
Everything, from 30 something years, it's my favorite thing I've ever done.
And with how multifaceted Revy is, which aspects of her could you relate to?
All of them. Yeah. I mean, it's not that I sort of tap into my own self to play characters. Like their experiences are their experiences, and I am trying to engage in thinking like they would in those circumstances. But there was something like, it was easy for me to do it with Revy. It was easy. It was just like, this is who this person is. This is how she feels. This is, and so, I'm not necessarily sure how much of me is in there other than the language, because I actually do speak like that a lot of the time.
Okay.
It's not great, but true. And there's something in there that I could really just bring out easily, access easily, for whatever reason. Interesting, interesting, fun.
Yeah. Well, not even, let's pretend that her own, I don't know if you've like read ahead in the manga to see like what happened, like what her backstory is, but what were your personal headcanons with her that like you came up with?
I knew that was her backstory. I knew it.
Okay.
I mean, the second we started, the second, like, I was like, I know who this person is. I know what's happened to her. I just know. So I was pretty much right.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in the Roberta's blood trail.
Yep.
Which I haven't actually watched. I've watched all of it up until that point, because it's funny because it's one of only 2 things that I've watched in entirety in my career of things that I've done, just because I really liked the show. When I saw Roberta's blood trail, because some of that comes out in that.
Right
in there. And I was like, oh, yeah. I don't want to tell too much in case people want to go now watch it, right? Like, because it's really cool.
Well,
it's horrible.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because when I was just doing Tabitha St. Germain like 3 weeks ago, she
my faith.
She didn't even, I had to like tell her what the story of the blood trail was because she didn't remember specifically.
Yeah, I think that's common for most of us, right? Yeah. Like, it's so hard. Like, my memory's not great anyways, and just sort of general. It used to drive my mother nuts. But because I would forget stuff. We'd be going to dance class and I wouldn't have my dance shoes, like just stuff like that. But I have been in plays. I cannot tell you the plot. I don't know what happened. I don't remember. How did it start? I don't know what happened at the end. I have no idea. It's the craziest thing. But I remember songs, and I bet you Tabitha might say the same. I remember songs. I've used to do musicals. I could sing probably a musical from top to bottom, just kind of off the top of my head. And I think a lot of people are like that. They remember music. They say that if you have a test and there's like just little technical things that you have to remember, like an exam for school, if you set it to music, you'll remember it. If you set it to a tune, you'll remember it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm the same as her. I'm like, I actually don't remember what happened to Roberta's blood trail. I don't remember. I remember little snippets, but I don't remember the plot, or I can't quite remember it all.
Well, it's basically that she goes insane because people kidnap Garcia, Kathy Westlock's character, the little boy that Kathy Westlock plays, that she's a servant to. And yeah, she just goes nuts and kills a bunch of people, and yeah.
Good old Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
Somebody going nuts and killing a bunch of people. It's not that simplistic, everybody. It's like there's lots more than that. But
well, even considering how much you relate to her, was there any difficult moments in the series?
Yeah, I tend to snap out of those difficult moments like pretty quickly. Like I don't think I hold on to them. I don't think I carry them forward when I'm finished my session. You know, the stuff, you know, when you look into Revy's background, it's, you know, that's not easy to do. So that was probably the most kind of like, whoa, that's something else. But no, the rest of it was just plain old fun. Maybe that says something about me, but anyway.
Well, do you have I'm sure there's a lot, but do you have a single favorite line?
I have a couple. There's this moment where like they're in, like I have a whole bunch of them, but this is just the one that's popping off the top of my head. There's this moment where they have Garcia in the back of the car and they're driving. And this is in, I think, the second like season or whatever. Rock and Dutch are in the front seats. And Revy, don't ask me why they put her in the back with him, but they did. And he says something to her, like, to Revy, like, you know, she's braver than you. She's way better than you. She can do stuff that you would never do, kind of like, just kind of really sort of in her face. And there's this moment where you cut to the front and there's like Rock and Dutch looking in the rearview mirror, basically like, you know, Dutch is going to pull the car over because she's about to kill this kid. And she bursts into laughter.
Yeah.
and she says, you know, something along the lines of like, what's she gonna do? I don't know, should I swear on this?
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine, okay. And she's like, what's he gonna do, throw a fucking teacup at me?
Yeah.
And then says something about like, Jesus took a chopper down Route 66 and she's laughing her head off. So she reacts in a different way than they think she's going to. They think she's going to throttle him,
Mm-hmm.
but she ends up just being like, you know, shut the fuck up kind of vibe. Funny. It's funny. It's a funny, like, it's a very funny moment. I mean, there's some, James and I rewrote a lot of those lines.
Yep.
And so we made like, there's this one where there's somebody's smoking a cigarette or a cigar at the bowling alley, and she, you know, she doesn't really take much nonsense, and so she tells him what his breath smells like, and I'm not even gonna say it, everybody can just watch it. And we wrote that.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, we wrote that. We changed it. It was like, your breath smells like you've been smoking cigarettes all day or something like that. But I was like, I've got a better idea.
Yeah.
She says something to what's the guy who's the driver who's always like super like high all the time? Trevor.
Is that Brian Drummond's character? I think
Trevor plays him. It's the driver with Shenhua.
Oh, the Irish guy, yeah.
Irish guy. I forget his name. And he's always just like super ripped. And she says something to him. She calls him you know, just drive, you fucking leprechaun. Like she
yeah.
So that's, I thought it was a funny line. I mean, I could go on and on. So yeah. let's move. Maybe we'll move off this topic, but those are some lines that I really liked.
Well, is your single favorite scene still the one where Rock confronts her early on and just tells her to stop?
Yeah. Right before is it right before the kiss, the cigarette kiss? Yeah, that's my favorite scene. Like, you know, like when she just screams, "That's all I know how to do." Like, it's a pretty telling moment, a pretty, like, for her to even say something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for her to admit any of this, for her to, you know, to be pushed to the limit by him, the only person who could have pushed her to that limit. I mean, she was going to kill him. Like if that little thing if he pushed that out of the way, she would have shot him in the head.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my favorite scene. It's actually on my demo. I'm always saying I'm going to redo my animation demo and I never do it, but I think that'll stay on my demo. I had to like edit it I had to get them to edit it pretty like concisely, because, you know, there's not a lot of language that's usable in Black Lagoon for just a regular animation demo. And so but I'll probably keep that in because it really does show a different side, you know, of a lot of what we do in animation, right? Is not that. So it's nice to be able to kind of show that that's something that you can kind of dive into.
Yeah, well, people were asking too from the community what your personal opinion on how she feels towards Rock is. Like, do you think that she's in love with him?
I didn't play it like that.
Okay.
I think it's possible. I didn't play it like that because I thought it would be more interesting for someone to needle her and force her to examine her problems without this stereotypical romance vibe to it. For me, it's more interesting that she has to learn to love herself. She has to learn to figure things out for herself. And I think that's the larger task for her than being in love with him. And not that she's not capable of being in love with him or like whatever. I just think her guardedness would need to go down before that would something like that would even happen. So I played her without that in mind.
Yeah.
I played her that he was the devil on her shoulder.
Yeah.
That was kind of how I felt about it. And I think, you know, I mean, another comment too, like really I could make is like, can you imagine? Like she would just eat him alive. Like there'd be no way. There'd be no way, but you know, who knows? Yeah, so maybe deep down somewhere unburied, unrealized by herself. But I did not play it like that. I don't know if that is.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure you can agree too that, I mean, some of the best moments of the series, especially with their relationship, is when she shows her own way of showing vulnerability.
Yeah, she does that a couple of times, doesn't she? Right? Like, you know, she's not a completely unfeeling, horrible person who doesn't have any vulnerabilities at all. And I think she does want to connect with people on some degree.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there's another aspect of like of what she does, right? This is her job. Like someone's hired her to do this. This is what she does. And so this is also her responsibility within the group to be the heavy, right? Like she takes that responsibility very seriously, I think, because, you know, perhaps she's not going to let other people down the way she was let down. I don't know. So there's this aspect of it, like she has to play this part too, right? She's got to make people terrified to approach their boat.
Yeah. What kind of things would you personally like to see happen for her?
Well, I would like them to make, I mean, I don't even know because I haven't kept up with, like you asked me about, have I read forward in the manga? No, I haven't done any of that. I mean, I would just love to, if they made another, you know, if they did another anime and then we got to dub it again. I don't even know if we'd get to dub it again. There's all sorts of political stuff going on right now with regards to dubbing work and rates and et cetera, et cetera. So I don't even know if I'd get to dub it again, even if they did make another series in Japan, or another season in Japan, which would break my heart.
Well, the creator Ray Hiroe and the director of the anime, they've expressed interest in wanting to do another one. So hopefully it'll still end up happening.
Let's hope. Yeah, let's hope, because that will be really cool. I mean, I know it's funny because it is the thing that people ask me about the most. Besides My Little Pony, it's the thing that people ask me about the most.
Right.
I think, and as I say, it's the series that I've watched out of everything I've done. The other thing that I ever watched was this movie called The Girl That Leapt Through Time. I loved that movie.
Yeah.
Tabitha and I played the like friends together.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I did watch that because I wanted to see it. I just thought it looks like such a beautiful movie. It reminded me of a lot of the Studio Ghibli stuff.
Yep.
So I wanted to watch it anyway. So.
Well, of course, Black Lagoon is a really prime example as well of people who don't even like anime really like it.
Yeah, and an example of people who don't like dubs.
Yep.
Right? Like, and people are like, you should watch the dub. The dub is good. And I don't think that's necessarily got to do with our performances all, you know, necessarily. It's largely got to do with the fact that these are Americans anyway, right? These characters are American. And I also think that there's something about it that suits an English speaking kind of dub somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure why, but and you know, not to say when I said earlier, not because our performances are so great, I meant, you know, that I'm basically just going to want to pat everybody else on the back, not my own. Like, you know, like Dean, who plays Dutch, like unbelievable, like the most suited person for that role vocally and, you know, from an acting perspective. So the performances are really good.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, performances are good in lots of dubs. This one just seemed to match.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've gotten this a lot, but just for me and a lot of other people in the Black Lagoon community, their performance is just one of the best that's ever been done in a English dub.
Thanks. I really appreciate it. It's very meaningful to me. I know that I hope that is coming across as genuine as I mean it, because for me, like, you know, to love something that much, to have done something, you know, that I really enjoyed, and then for other people to enjoy it too, is super meaningful to me. I mean, you know, this is the thing, hey, is that I'm not an actor unless there's someone to watch the work.
Mm-hmm.
So people who watch are really important to me, and they're, you know, I tell a story. I tell a story not for myself, right? I tell a story for people watching, for people coming to the theater, for people going to the movie, for people watching the TV series on their phone or at home on Saturday night at like 3 a.m. or whatever, right? The audience counts. And so for people to really like it and to say that they liked my, you know, my performance is really meaningful to me, especially when it's something I love that much. So thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
To you and everybody else.
And when you, early on, when you were recording, was there any basis to try and match what Megumi Toyoguchi was doing with Revy?
No, actually at first we actually went in a totally different direction for the first, like, I think we recorded the first like 4 or 5 episodes or something like that in one fell swoop. And they actually had me and James go back in and redo them.
Oh.
Because James and I tried to do something different, very different, and it didn't fly. So we went back in and re-recorded. So no, I try not to listen to what someone else did before me unless they're asking me to voice match.
Okay.
I like to kind of try and come up with my own. I really like doing dubbing because I like trying to see how I can fit my performance and have it be realized and sound like immediate within a box, like within that box of the already existing flaps and the already existing, like what you see on screen as demanding the emotional performance or the situation or whatever. So so that's part of it for me, is like trying to create my own sound, my own voice print, my own attitude, my own personality, my own character, while remaining true to the original idea of it. How can I make this as unique as I can?
So going back to a relationship that she has with other characters, how do you feel about, do you think that she's afraid of Roberta, or how do you view her relationship with Roberta? No,
I don't think she's afraid of Roberta.
Okay.
I think she probably sees her on occasion as like a pretty big match. But no, I don't think she's afraid of her. She might go like, whoa, holy shit. But not like, ah.
Well, I mean, the main reason I asked that is in Blood Trail, when she goes nuts, Revy never tries to attack her. She's one of the only people who doesn't try to mess with her in any way.
Interesting. I don't remember that part. Well, that makes sense. It's like maybe there's some admiration there, right?
Yep.
And some empathy for, you know, the fallen kind of villain. Maybe. I gotta crack that DVD open. I don't know where I'm gonna play it these days. Who has a DVD player? But I mean, people do. What am I saying? But I don't. I don't even know how to play a DVD anymore. It's like, remember the like laptops used to have that like thing, right, you can put the port or whatever you call it. I don't know where to do that anymore. Anyway.
What about her relationship with Etta?
Oh, I actually think she quite likes Etta.
Yeah.
I think she, you know, because Etta calls her things and says things to her that nobody else does. And they kind of just like those are some some of those scenes were really funny, and the lines in there. She really gets in her face, but there's never any physical violence that I remember between the two of them, like ever. She never smacks her. They just go at each other name calling wise and really in each other's faces. There's that one scene where they're like heads are against each other and they're screaming, but there's no like, I don't remember there being any physical violence. I just think she likes her as much as she likes anybody, kind of thing. Like I have this phrase that I use for the odd person. Like I have a soft spot for them. I think she kind of has a bit of a soft spot for Etta. Mm-hmm. She annoys her, like, you know, Etta annoys the hell out of her, but I think you got a kind of a soft spot for her.
Did you know Lisa?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We never got to work together. When we work in dubbing, we
Right.
record a lot of time, but yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. Some other things that people were saying. Well, it's kind of similar to what I asked earlier, but I guess how would you like to see the series end?
I don't know.
Kind of hard to say, I guess.
It is kind of hard to say. You call people like, like when people ship something, like all that. Do you call them shippers? Maybe the shippers would like to see Rock and like Revy dead at the end, or dead at the end. That's interesting. Married at the end, like walking down the aisle. How would I like to see it end? I don't know. Maybe like Revy on her own private island somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Just like doing her own thing. She's a boat. She can like go and do stuff she wants. Like it's not far. The island's not far from a lot of different things. I don't ever want her to turn like legit.
Okay.
Like I don't ever want her to be legit. Like I don't want to ever have like, she's a shoe cobbling business. None of that. Yeah, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. Do people have ideas? Do other people have ideas? Have you seen any people with ideas about how they want it to end?
Yeah, it's pretty across the map. I guess some people would really like to see her and Rock have some kind of romantic relationship, but I just don't know.
The shipping stuff, right?
It's just kind of hard to know if that would ever really, if she would ever let herself get that vulnerable.
I think she could let herself get that vulnerable, but maybe not with somebody like Rock.
Yeah.
Maybe she like becomes an MMA like champion. That's stupid.
That's funny though.
I don't know. Maybe they all just like, well, yeah. I don't know. Interesting. Well, hopefully we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be so cool.
So you mentioned this, but you would gladly come back?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, because Saffron, when I did her a little bit ago, she likes the series too, but she would want someone else who's actually Asian to play Shenhua, but she would come back as Sawyer.
Oh, she would come back as Sawyer. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose I should actually really think about that, right? Like, Revy's half Chinese American, right? So it's probably something I should think about because I'm pretty clear on what I audition for and what I don't audition for.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps it would be something I would need to like figure out. It's a great point. I'm gonna think about that.
Well, fans they wouldn't want anybody else as Revy. They would definitely want you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
So then one of the last things I had to ask was for an improv line as Revy, what do you think that she would say to what do you think that she would say to a group of fans who are like trying to get a hold of her while she's on a hit job?
The first thing is like, shut the fuck up. That might be something like she'd probably go on a rant. The rant that she goes on where she's got that guy. He starts rambling on. He's like got a like military outfit on and he's ranting to her about something. I think it's when they go into that ship.
Yeah.
And the very last line is say hi to the Fuhrer for me. And she shoots him. She shoots him already. She shoots him like he's in the middle of like ranting and she shoots him. And he's like, you bitch.
Yeah.
And she's like, all you did was just talk, shit for the last however long. Like now I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah. I
think she'd go off on that kind of a rant to them. Like, what do you think's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think I'm doing? Yeah, I think she'd be nicer, right? Because she'd be like, I think that there'd be a mix of like swag in there, like, like, yeah, I know you love me kind of thing. I know you want my autograph and like, she'd try and charge money for it.
Mm-hmm.
She would try and like get like $50 out of each of them. So it would like go from like initial anger, like, like, what the fuck do you think I'm doing here? Get the hell out of the way. And then somebody, like one, like a kid or something, like some younger person being like, we just Miss Revy, we just wanted your autograph. Will you sign my t-shirt?
Yeah.
And she'd be like, oh, oh, that. Okay. Then she'd kind of get a little, I think she'd get a little like flattered and like, yeah, I know you think I'm the best, kind of thing.
I could type something out that might be easier for.
Like put something in the chat?
For you to say for them, yeah.
Okay, do it.
Okay.
Please.
Okay, let's see.
God, and I haven't played Revy in such a long time that I hope I can even do the voice right. I don't even know.
Well, it sounds
forgive me, everybody, if like it's not quite right and right.
Well, it sounds like it's pretty similar to your natural voice.
It is.
Yeah.
I just drop it a little bit and like add some texture. It's yeah. I don't go. It's not cartoony, right? So the requirement to like be super like crazy and over the top in terms of voice print is not quite there for something like this for sure. Just like how we just went on a whole like script writing thing about like, well, maybe creating this whole scene. Okay, like what's in the chat?
I think that's pretty good.
That is good. That is good. Okay, let me see what she'd be like. If you guys ever DM me while I'm at a fucking job, you're gonna be fucking sorry. Let me do it. Let me see if I can make an adjustment here. No, I like it as written. If you fucking guys, maybe that's where she could add some another fucking. If you fucking guys ever DM me while I'm at a fucking job, you're gonna be fucking sorry.
Sounds really good.
That's not okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thanks.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good line. That's funny too. It's like she would have a cell phone. I guess that's a thing. Hey, now.
Yeah.
It could be this whole like other thing, like.
Yeah.
Right, where she'd be like, she'd have to have social media, or she would maybe have social media, or she wouldn't even. That scene might start off like with somebody says, "Can I DM you for my?" And she might go like, "What the fuck's a DM?"
Yeah.
And then somebody would be like, "Oh, Miss Revy, it's like a thing." Blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, if you guys were fucking DM me while I'm on a fucking job, you're gonna be fucking sorry.
Yeah, that's pretty fun to imagine.
It is fun to imagine. She would like, I think she would think cell phones were stupid. Like she would be constantly chucking like her phone or her like iPad, like whatever device that they've given her to keep in like her watch, just chucking it over the side of a boat. Get this shit off of my wrist. Like she would not.
Yeah.
Just wants her 2 hands and that's it.
So then talking about other roles, is there anything else that's upcoming that you're part of that you can safely talk about?
I better say no. I don't know. I'm not really sure what I can say at this point.
Well, I guess, are you still doing Johnny Test and Polly Pocket?
So Johnny Test is on, like, we just got released, right? Like, I think in January they put up the second, like I guess it's miniseries for season 8,
yep.
I suppose. So we shall see what happens next. If something happens next, we'll see. And it is so cool to know like Polly Pocket has like been so well received, right? Like it's been going and going. I think like, what do we have? Like 4 seasons? I never would have expected that. I really enjoy it. Yep. It's actually one of the first times in my life. It's maybe a little tidbit for people, is I've never really played like a real adult before, like a mom. Like I've never really done that. You do like incidental roles where like, somebody's mom comes into this, like that's not a regular character, just comes in and like says like, yeah, it's time for dinner. Like that kind of thing. I've done that before, but I've never really played like a series regular who's the mom. So I play the mom and the baby brother in that, but it was just really interesting to get cast. Like my agent, I was at the office when the casting notice came in, and he was like, actually, no, it was the callbacks. He goes like this. He was like, oh, he was like, good news. He was like, you have a call back from Polly Pocket. He was like, he goes, and they want us. And then he went like this and looked at me. The mom? And I was like, what? He goes, they want to see if they want to come in. You have a call back for the mom. I was like, wow, that's interesting. And then in the audition, I know that they were asking people to like younger, sound younger, but you don't really have to ask me to sound younger, right? Because I already sound pretty young. So yeah, it was interesting. Anyways, I do enjoy that. I do enjoy that show. So, we'll see whether we get more, and can always cross our fingers. It's the kind of thing where you say, don't hold your breath. Like, you just kind of forget about stuff and move on to the next thing. So there's some things coming up, but I better not say anything just in case. Sorry, everybody. I know that's the most annoying answer.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah.
I think everyone's used to it by now. Hey, like us being like, oh, we don't want to get sued.
Well, I know your most recent any kind of anime related thing would have been Zoi's Wild.
Yeah, I liked doing that. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Revy in a way.
Yeah.
Kind of like very kind of like tame kids version of Revy.
Mm-hmm.
But she was not having it most of the time. Yeah, that was the most recent anime, I think. Yeah, and I liked that. Also, Coach Me If You Can. It's not really anime, but we did dub it. It's from French, the French language into English. And it's actually super crazy. Every now and again, when I would look up while we were recording, like, you're looking back from the script to the picture, I'd be like, what was that? I was like, guys, could you please rewind that for me? I want to see what that is. It's so weird and so creative and so cool. Just the imagery and the animation, and then these real life action things that they put in to the show that just come out of nowhere. It's actually really fun. I play Maya on that, like one of the little friends in the soccer playing group. Team, I think that's called, Maryke. A team. A soccer playing group is called a team.
Well, is there ever any, this might be obvious to ask too, but is there ever any aspiration for you to go back to on camera?
Not really. But never say never.
Okay.
Right? Like, an actor's career can encompass lots of different things, right? And so I think one day I might be ready to go back to doing on camera.
Mm-hmm.
Learning my lines terrifies me because we don't memorize our lines for voice acting, and that muscle has atrophied considerably. What I actually have started to kind of like tiptoe and inch my way towards going back to is theater.
Okay.
Yeah. Going back to the beginning of our conversation, like ballet and stuff, the stage was kind of my first love, I suppose. Mm-hmm. Right. So I find myself kind of feeling like sort of this bubbling interest to go back. So yeah, you never know. Maybe I go back to theater if I'm so lucky as to get work doing that. And then maybe the next phase of it is going back to on camera. But as I said earlier, I'm not an early riser. So the idea of being on set at 6 o'clock in the morning makes me want to just die.
Yeah. Well, my final question is always asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
A couple of things. I think, like, I have this bracelet, and on it says hustle. I'm a big sports fan. I speak oftentimes in like sports analogies, and musicians and athletes for me are kind of like my gurus, my people that I look up to and take great inspiration from. And I think it was I can't remember if it's Dr. J, basketball player, or Wilt Chamberlain, one of the two, great basketball players of in kind of history, who said hustle is a talent because not everybody does it. I think, kind of hard work. I never want to be outworked. Mm-hmm. I can be outlucked by people, right? Like sometimes being in the right place at the right time and all that stuff. But I don't want ever kind of to be outworked. So I would like, to just be known as kind of a consummate professional in what I do. And the other thing I think in terms of legacy, I don't know, it's so interesting because it almost feels like legacy. That seems crazy to apply to like just, me, someone like me. I'm even sort of like almost embarrassed to even like answer that, right? Like, but I think like a respect and commitment to the story and to the audience. I think I was saying earlier, like there is nothing more important to me when I'm performing, when I'm acting. There's nothing more important than the story. What are we doing here? What are we telling? What is the audience? What kind of ride are we taking this audience on? What experience do we want them to have that they may not otherwise have in their lives? And that's me too, right? Like when I'm watching something,
Yeah.
it's experiences that I would never have or could never have or don't want to have in certain circumstances. Revy, for example. So that will be what I would hope for. That I focus on the task at hand, that I give the story and the audience the utmost respect, and that I can, if I do meet people, right, at conventions and stuff, to say to them, thanks for watching, because without you, I don't get to do what I love. So hopefully that kind of, commitment to story and audience also shows my appreciation to the people who do watch and who do allow me to do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is that what legacy actually means? Like what I'm saying right now, does that actually?
Yeah.
Legacy?
That's good.
That's good. Yeah. It's a cool question.
Oh,
I like your questions.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, good questions, Chris. I enjoyed this.
Thanks. Yeah, well, related to that too, I can imagine there's been people at cons who have said this maybe before, but the other were just people who were saying that, your performances, Revy, saved their life. And they were just really excited for me to do this and have be your first interview in quite a while. So
I understand that. Right? Like, if I could get personal right back at these people, I get what that is.
mm-hmm.
I know what that's like. When I talk about musicians and athletes, saved my life. Just the being able to look forward to something. Being able to, enjoy something to take yourself out of whatever you're going through. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. So it's like this circle, like, when I watch someone play sports with such joy and such love and commitment, and when they persevere or whatever, or there's these musicians who say the most unbelievable things. I went to see Earth Gang. If anybody doesn't know who Earth Gang is, if any of you are interested, like a lot of people will say there's no good hip hop anymore. Bullshit. I'll just put that out there. If you're interested at all, please listen to Earth Gang. And I just saw them a couple of weeks ago at a concert here in Vancouver in a very small venue. And I got to meet one of them afterwards just because he came down off the stage and was signing stuff. And I was like, woo! And, I said to him, I really appreciate you. So it's a cycle, right? Like it's a circle. These people who've done so much for me, who've saved my life, and then I can take that energy and that, and put that into what I'm doing, and someone else gets benefit from it, right? And they create and do what they're doing or live their lives, and who knows, maybe that eventually connects back to the to Olu in Earth Gang.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts all over again, right? Do we, I don't know. I get into hippie realm here, but we're all one, right? We're all made of stars. And so we can collect strength from others and give strength to others. There's a quote, and it's so beautiful. It says, the human eye, and I'm going to get the measurements mixed up, so forgive me, everybody, but the human eye, the naked human eye, can see a candle, a single candle, at like 5 miles. And you never know when your light is the only light that somebody else can see. Sometimes you don't know the effect you have on people.
Right.
There you go. So thanks, everybody.
Yeah. And
right back at you.
Yeah. And thanks. This was an honor for you to be my 231st guest.
231, you know, 23 is a lucky number. I mean, I did a little manipulation and just dropped off the 1 there for convenience, but 23 is a lucky number. 231st interview, Chris?
Yep, since July 2020.
Holy crap. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for like honoring me by asking me to be part of your, you know, collection of interviews. You do a great job.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot.
You're welcome.
Welcome. I just, I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner, but I just, I PM'd Kiara again. I was like, hey, could you potentially help me get in contact with Maryke? And yeah, she was great. So.
Yeah, and I'm an idiot, you know, so it takes, for those of you, like, I don't use social media very much and all that stuff. So Chris was very patient with continuing to try and get in touch with me. So thank you. I'm sorry, I'm such a doughhead. That's why I have an agent. You know, actually, that's something interesting for everybody, right? Like sometimes, not in this particular case, but like if you ever have trouble getting in touch with someone, you know, sometimes you can figure out who their agent is, right, too, and get in touch with their agent. And sometimes that can help. It doesn't always happen because sometimes the agents are too busy to be, you know, dealing with all these other things. So social media is a good one for sure.
That was how I got agents. Agents were how I got Jocelyn Lewin and Nicole Oliver and some other
smart
people.
Yeah, smart. That's a good idea, Chris. Anyway, so thanks for being patient because I'm like just dumb with the DMs, like Revy. Just like Revy. If you ever fucking DM me, I'm gonna fucking job you. Be fucking sorry.
Yeah.
Mine isn't from belligerence, but just from plain old being a space cadet. So thanks for your patience, Chris, and thanks for persevering because I enjoyed this.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to show you this. I don't know if you've been seeing it on Twitter, but
I see nothing on Twitter.
Okay.
I don't look at Twitter. I know that's so terrible because I should be, but I can't.
Well, I guess it's been making the rounds that someone put it's a screen cap of Revy like looking displeased with something, and someone edited like a iPhone over it, so it's like a reaction gif of her looking at something on her phone really like smug.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I can't actually see her facial expression just because you know how like when you hold up a phone, it doesn't help. Yeah. But maybe if you could DM that to me and maybe in like 6 months I'll remember to check it. But I would love to see that. That's funny. Yeah, that's kind of my thing. I'm just not very with it when it comes to that stuff. Anyway, I would like to see the picture at some point or other.
Well, I'll be sure to send this to you once I have it uploaded as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, have a good rest of your day then.
You too, Chris. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, everybody who's watching. Thank you for watching. Thanks, Chris.
See ya.
See you around.